Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of Rewriting the Fates. Now, last episode, we wrote this section right here, which consists of 3 soloists, the cello, the clarinet, right here, and the bassoon, together with different aspects of a storm surrounding us. Of course, we got the rolls and the timpani and the low voices to represent the thunder, the trills to represent the rain, and these little interjections in the piccolo, flute, alto sax, and soprano sax, and that one in the trumpet, representing our bolts of lightning. Now, last episode, I had said I would get to this trumpet section over here, but I didn't quite have time. So, what I did is I did that off camera, right up until the next section. And as you can see, it's pretty empty, so I didn't feel too bad doing it off camera, but we are going to go over it. But first, I want to remind you what this section sounded like in the original. So here we are on the original score, and I'm going to play you this section. Here it is. So, this basically took what we were doing before with the interchanging of the melody, and we just put it in one instrument and did a little bit more harmonic progression, moving us into a major key. Now, let me go back to what I have written. Here we are, right at the end of what we wrote last episode, and I believe I played a little bit of this for you, but it's changed a bit. So we start with this sort of cry for help from the trumpets, and it just plays one phrase. And then we hear the ticking, 4 ticks. Then we do the second phrase, and then 3 ticks. We repeat the first phrase, 2 ticks, and the second phrase, 1 tick. And notice I didn't get rid of time, I just left it silent. So this to me feels like a huge cry for help, almost defeat. And then this melody comes in, and let me just play this real quick, these 2 measures. That is a slight rhythmic variation on the developed theme, and it's played in the horn, which really complements the trumpet. And that, we get 1 tick, 2 ticks, and then we jump up to 4 ticks, and kind of a round going on here. And then we go back to what I had already written, except what I did is I put the main melody in the trumpet, and the harmony an octave higher in the horn. And originally I just had unisons in all of these winds, so I expanded those into full chords and put some in the upper strings, and then this chromatic scale up into our major chord. So I'm seeing this horn as a helping hand, someone to reach out and save us, from our hardships. Up until this point, I had been framing this piece with a storm, but this is where I really feel like it needs to expand into something more meaningful. Here we are. We're beat down. Whatever hardship this storm really represented has beat us down. We feel hopeless. There's nothing left for us. And someone else has come and reached for us, and pulled us out of our hopeless future. So, without further ado, let me play this for you so you can hear, and then we'll get started on what I have planned for this episode. At this moment, I like it. It just needs some tuning in and some adjustments to make it really shine. Yeah, I've spent enough time on this, and I want to move on to this major section because I'm very excited for this. But before I do, I just remembered that I also, off camera, fixed that transition way back here from the big explosion into the solo section with these two measures. So at this point, we're exploding, and then before, it just boom, cello, just a cello, and it felt a little awkward. So what I did is I added two measures of just percussion explosion, and it really feels like this is the final blow before the eye, the challenge, the conflict. So let me play that for you again, real quick. Oh, and before I do, the other thing I forgot to mention is I also took some of this and made it double time. So this before was just 60 BPM, but up here, if it'll zoom in enough, I doubled the speed because it just felt like it was going double the time at this point because I had these as 16th notes and it felt like it was 2 beats instead of 1. And of course here it was all 30-second notes and it just didn't quite make sense. So anyway, it doesn't sound any different. Let me play for you what I was going to play for you. It just makes that transition a lot smoother than it was before, and I like it. So, let's move on. We are back in the original score to give a listen to this major section. Now, bear with me, this one needs quite a bit of work, but that's what we're going to get to today. So, here it is. So, it's a complete contrast to everything else that we've written so far, and there's quite a bit that I want to change. First of all, notice these notes that are acting as our little, playful mode, or playful motive. They're super stagnant, except for these two notes here. Why? I don't know. We're going to change that. I also think I might make them eighth notes so that they feel a little more playful. We'll see. Of course, this melody is sort of an even more developed form of our original motive, and of course, this time in a major key. And in the second half, when the strings take the main melody, what I'm doing here is I'm slowly layering in the minor third. So I was just trying to look and determine what exactly was going on. And you'll notice in these three voices we have B, D, F, which, oh, we have a different key. I didn't even notice. When did the key change? Ah, the key changed in this first section. I don't know why that is. In this version, we switched to G minor here, which, of course, relative major, B flat major. And this chord that's playing over and over again is the one chord, the B flat major triad. And what I'm doing here is I'm layering in a D flat, which is a third of the parallel minor B flat minor. I'm doing that to bring it into the minor, that key, parallel minor of B flat minor, into this next section, which is going to change probably entirely in the new version. This is not good at all. So I'm probably going to remove this entirely. So I need to figure out what I want to do. I need to figure out if I even want to go back to minor. I think I do. We'll see. That being said, I didn't do this key change in the new version. I don't see why it had. I actually think, now that I'm looking at it, there was a lot of weird things that's happening, and I think it might be because the piece is actually in G minor entirely. I don't know why I changed here, because I don't have any A flats. In fact, I have A naturals, and in the new version, I have one or two of them around here too. See? In the clarinet. I think this is not in the key I've been writing it in. I might fix that. Anyway, I am going to get started writing this new section and play with this melody. And I'm going to probably keep this melody pretty much the same. I do like how it sounds, but everything around it needs to be better. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back when I'm at a good place to talk to you about it. And we are back. I've done quite a bit of work, so let's go through it. First of all, we go up into this major chord. I believe I already had this. And instead of what we had before, which was just stagnant quarters that never changed pitch besides the last 2 beats, I sped those up into 8th notes. I believe I already said I was going to do that. And I added some variation. And so now the way I was building this section was building it with all of the same pieces as I did at the beginning, but this time in a completely different mood. So these 8th notes here are very reminiscent of way back in the beginning. These guys down here, they're not identical. I actually believe this one is inversed, so it goes down instead of up. This one's a little bit different, but it has that same motive, and it's the same feel. And then, a couple measures later, of course, our melody comes in. I didn't actually change this at all. And of course, this melody is reminiscent of what you hear in the horns at the very beginning. And those are the only 2 parts I introduced right at the beginning. I let the melody play out, and it repeats, this time joined by the strings, and I added a little harmony up top. And I added some more voices on these 8th notes. Oh, and of course I have I kept the drone. And nothing too major happens new in this section. What's really special is the 3rd time it repeats. As you can see, I introduce another aspect, which is the ticking. Now, this is a happy moment, but the ticking is still there. The fate is still approaching. Of course, it becomes double time, the original, because this section is twice as fast. However, it's still there. The other new piece I added, besides some extra percussion, this line right here, mostly in the brass, also in the bari sax and the bass down here. This line, if we go way back to the beginning, is reminiscent of this descending arpeggiation of a triad, of the triad. And so what I did, it took me a while to figure out the melody I liked, but this is essentially a counter melody, and this section feels very much like a march, with the quarter notes in the bass drum and the timpani and the snare rhythm, along with some crash cymbals. And so we have a melody in the strings and the oboe. We have our counter melody in the brass and some of the lower winds and strings, and of course our little ostinato. And I think we're getting somewhere. I have a feeling that I'm going to want to change quite a bit once I go back and revise it, once I have a full draft. But as it stands right now, I'm happy with it and I'm ready to move on. But I have a feeling I'm going to come back and make quite a few revisions once I have a full understanding of the rest of the piece. And where are we going? Well, I'm experimenting. And I haven't played this part yet for you guys in the original piece. But what happened next was a bunch of just interjections. And it was just random rhythm. And it was just interjections, and that was it. Of course, that was hinted at in the original by just playing that D flat on repeat, as I was talking about. I didn't do that here. Your mind is fully in the major world, and it feels hopefully satisfying. What I want to do here is go into the relative minor of this key and just go crazy. I don't have exactly a full idea of what I want this to look like, but I'm playing with the idea. I've written one measure, just to feel how this shift is, and if it's somewhere I think I can go. So, without further ado, let me play you this new section that is quite different from the rest of the piece. So that's where we're at right now. I definitely think, especially that March section, feels like it could use some more beefing up. It feels a bit juvenile right now. It's just something, a style I haven't really written in. So it's going to take some work to get it where I like it. But I'm ready to move on for now, and I'll come back to it when I have a better idea. That being said, that's about all I wanted to get done in this video. I suppose I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.